Hello and welcome to the Media Representative Training. This training is broken up into two parts. The first part, we're going to talk about the 4 Ps, which represent posts, publications, photos and captions, and press releases. The second part of the training, we're going to talk about your paperwork that you have, and those are the 3 Rs of paperwork. So the rep plan, the report, and the review. So the first thing that I want you to do is to create an account on the NCCC Exchange. This is a closed social media website where all of your media rep duties are located. So all of the information about the media representative position, the links to where you're going to submit all of your paperwork, all of your work basically is going to be submitted on the NCCC Exchange. So the website is coreexchange.ning.com. What you're going to do is you're going to join the website, and then once you're approved on the website, you're going to join the media representative group for the Pacific region, and that's called Pacific Region Media Reps. So once you're in that group, you're going to have access, like I said, to all of your paperwork, all of the templates, all of the resources that you need to be successful in the position. So go ahead, take a minute to do that. You can pause this training if you need to do so. It'll be helpful to be able to look at the NCCC Exchange as we go through this training. So the first P in the 4 Ps is posts. So you're going to be making Facebook posts this year as a media rep. This is actually the only thing that you won't do on the NCCC Exchange website. You are actually going to post your Facebook post directly onto Facebook. Now, if you don't have a Facebook account, don't worry, we have a couple solutions. So one is you could ask a fellow media representative if you can post through their account onto Facebook. The other option is to create a professional Facebook page for yourself. So, it's not something, you don't need to use it for personal use, it can just be a separate account. If you have your own Facebook account that you use on a regular basis and you feel comfortable using that to make these posts, feel free to do that. The posts are going to be on the AmeriCorps NCCC Pacific Region page. So this is different than the group that you all joined as Corps members. So there's the Pacific Region Corps member group, but this is actually going to be on the Pacific Region page. So once you log onto Facebook and go to that page, go ahead and like it. You can go ahead right now and go to that page and like that page. And then once you do that, you will put in your update into the what have you been up to line there. So you're going to post a picture or post a team update. Really kind of the sky's the limit as long as it's within policy and all that good stuff. Again, all your resources are located on the NCCC Exchange, and I've put on there under the link called Pages, the Facebook post guidelines. So this will be a reminder to you about what you should be posting on Facebook. So once you're on the AmeriCorps NCCC Pacific Region page, the type of posts you should make should really be team updates about what you're doing on your project. So I'm going to click through some different examples of Facebook posts, and you can kind of judge whether or not you think this is a good post or a bad post. And really, what I'd base that off of is this something that someone would be interested in reading? Is it too long? Does it give enough information? That sort of thing. So you always want to make sure you're including your team name, your project name. You want to link your project sponsor to your post if you have the opportunity, and stuff like that. So the first post that you see here, Green 3 spent their last day of work showing off the past 6 weeks worth of camp improvements to members of their sponsoring organization, the Sacramento Valley Conservancy. A couple tips I have on this one. It's a pretty long sentence, maybe breaking that up a little bit, and definitely tagging the project sponsor if possible. You see the backs of the members here. You see that they're with community members. You can clearly tell that it's an NCCC team. So it's kind of nice to see them interacting with the community. Perhaps if they were doing, hands-on work, it might be a little bit more interesting of a picture. But all in all, not a bad Facebook post. This next Facebook post, you can kind of read it as I'm talking. It's pretty long, uses a lot of big words, and then the picture doesn't really tell a lot of the story. You're kind of wondering, why are these members sitting underneath this umbrella? What are they doing? The next post, I really like this one because it gives solid examples of the type of work our members do. I would like to see that team name capitalized, but all in all, I like this post because it tells the work that they're doing, the organization that they're working with, and the location. The picture is also a good one too. The next photo is of a team leader at a radio interview. Just because you're media reps doesn't mean that all of your posts on Facebook need to be about the traditional types of media that you get as a team. You can simply just post about your project work. I do, like that the team is highlighted here, that it talks about the team being interviewed and such, but perhaps this would be a better post if they included the link to the media coverage or something like that. Speaking of including links to the media coverage, on this next slide, you'll see the picture is cut off, but that's actually basically a thumbnail for the media that the team got, and you'll see the link there that you could click on and look at. In terms of other social media that I want you to kind of know about, there are no requirements here for these other types of social media, but just wanted to make you aware. We do have a national Twitter account. The handle is at AmeriCorps NCCC. You do not have to worry about posting to this. The recruiters on your team will be submitting posts that will go on the national Twitter account. But this could be a good opportunity to partner with your recruiters. So if you and your recruiters wanted to do similar posts on Facebook and Twitter, it might save you some time. We do have a couple official YouTube videos. You can see the link there and watch the one about NCCC and also watch the one about FEMA Corps. And then we have a Tumblr, we have a Flickr account, and our website is always good to know, nationalservice.gov/NCCC. I did want to mention the requirement for the number of posts that you have to make per project round. So per project round, you're going to have to make 4 posts on Facebook. It's 4 posts on the Facebook page. So you can do all 4 posts in a row on the same day. You can do one a week, one every other week, depending on how long your project round is. But as long as you do 4 posts during your project round, you have met the minimum requirement for the media representative position as it relates to Facebook posts. You also might be wondering, as it relates to posts, when are these submissions due on the Facebook page? Well, they are due by the media rep transition meeting. So we will meet every transition as a group of media reps. By the time that we meet, all 4 of your posts should have been made on Facebook. So with your Facebook posts, make sure that you're intentional with what you post. You want to make sure that your team is featured in an exciting way. You can think of it as kind of an educational opportunity for people who don't know a lot about our program. So what can you tell them about our program or about our benefits or about the different things that you are experiencing that make the program appealing? We, in terms of who may like our Facebook page, we may send the link out to potential applicants. Family and friends of current members might be looking at this. A lot of alumni are looking at our pages. So be thinking about that audience when you're making these posts and how engaging they are. Make sure to keep a positive image of NCCC in the communities that we help. Okay, the next thing that I want to chat about is the second P in the 4 Ps of the media rep position, and that's publications. So you have 2 publications that you're going to work on as a media representative. The first one is the newsletter known as the Common Ground. The Common Ground goes out every other month, and it's a great way for corps members to hear about what other corps members are doing out in the field. So this is a very corps-centric newsletter where you guys are updating each other on what you all are doing in the field. I know we have Facebook and social media, to kind of stay connected with one another, but it's nice to have a hard copy newsletter or a newsletter sent out electronically that allows you all to keep in touch and to learn about what other teams are doing out on their projects. In terms of the requirements for the newsletter, it is a half-page maximum that you will be submitting every other month. Again, that's a half-page maximum. So imagine if all of the teams were to submit, a full page. That's going to be a huge newsletter that no one's going to read because it's going to be too overwhelming. So half-page maximum you will submit every other month. Your submission can be an article about your project. It can be an interview with a teammate or a project sponsor, a crossword puzzle. It can be something as simple as a picture with a caption of your team. So bare minimum, you can submit a picture and a caption, and I will count that as an article for the Common Ground. You could do a book review, maybe that relates to service or leadership. Really, this is your chance to be creative, to use your imagination, but also make sure that you are keeping it positive, that you proofread, and all that good stuff. If you're experiencing some difficulty in the program, you're finding some different things challenging, keep those, different situations out of the Common Ground newsletter, and rather, go to your team leader if you're struggling, or use the chain of command to help you through those situations, rather than, writing something in the newsletter about it. So it's going to be one entry the first of every other month. So December, February, April, June, August, October. That's when the newsletter submissions are due, the first of each of those months. And where are your entries going to be submitted? Well, they're going to be submitted on the NCCC Exchange website. So here you can see a screenshot of the NCCC Exchange. You are going to scroll down to something called the discussion forum. Underneath there, you'll see a link to Common Ground newsletter and submission guidelines. This will remind you of the different things that I talked about in the training today about the Common Ground, but this will also be where you submit your entry. So you can type your entry, once you click on that forum, you can type your entry in that box, but I would probably prefer you to, type it up or make it a Word file or a JPEG file and upload it in this section. So you're going to upload your file, you're going to add reply, and then you should be able to see your post within that discussion forum under the Common Ground newsletter and submission guidelines forum. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is yearbook submissions. So this is the second publication that you're going to work on. I do have samples of past yearbooks in case you want to look at those. Basically, your duty as a media rep is to design one team page to be included in the yearbook. So you're going to put your team name on it, and then you're going to include things on that page that represent your term of service. So, pictures of your teammates, maybe listing your projects that you've gone out onto. I recommend, having a notebook or jotting down notes about memorable quotes or special acknowledgments or project highlights or fun moments as a team, kind of recording those so when you go to make your yearbook page, you can kind of look back at that information and include that on your team page. We will also have an opportunity for media reps and also any member to design a cover for the yearbook. So if you're into graphic design, you could be the winner of our cover contest. Or we also have opportunities for members to design extra pages. So we'll have a page about ISPs and a page about CTI and different things like that. So you can sign up for those extra pages as we get closer to the end of the year. No big surprise here, but these yearbook submissions will also be submitted on the NCCC Exchange. So under discussion forum, you'll see a link to yearbook submissions and guidelines. You will click that. You'll see a reminder about what we're looking for in terms of the yearbook entry. So, 8.5 by 11, etc. You will upload the file there and you will add the reply. The next thing we're going to talk about is photos and captions. That's the third P in the 4 Ps. So this is always an exciting one, especially if you have a background in photography. So I'm going to flash some different pictures on the screen, and we're going to kind of talk about if it's a good picture, if it's a bad picture, if it's something that you think that I would want to see back at the office, and if it's something that I could use if I were to try to recruit for the program. So this first picture, it's a pretty good one. It's nicely composed. It's quite pretty, but you can't really tell that these are NCCC members. You would assume that they're doing work on this house, but it's not really a working photo. So, this might be something that maybe you would include on your Facebook posts, but maybe not something that you would turn in to me, for example, to use for recruitment purposes. This next photo, this is a team picture. I will be asking each of you to take a photo of your team at every project that you go out onto. So, maybe it's a picture with the sign outside of your project sponsor's office or something like that, but you should be taking a team picture every project round. So something that I want you to know as a media rep is that you are the official photographer on your team. So as the official photographer, if you want to pose people on your team for a photo, you can do that. You can take full control of the photo situation on your team. So for example, with this team, it's a nice team picture, but as a media representative, maybe you would want everyone to put their hands in front of them, or you would want the people in the front row to have their arms around each other like the people in the back row. One person has sunglasses on. Maybe you ask them to take off their sunglasses for the photo. So take the time to compose your photos and to get them where you want them to be. This next picture, this one looks posed to me. I'm not sure if it is, but I think this is a nicely composed photo. There are 3 members in it, which, believe it or not, we get a lot of pictures that are of individuals, but not a lot of team photos or teammates working together. So we really encourage you to take pictures of your teammates working together because we are a team-based program, and so when we use your pictures that you take in the field, we're really looking for the ones that are team-based, where there are people working together. This next photo gets some mixed reviews. Some people like it because it shows NCCC working with community members. However, unless you look really, really closely, you can't really tell that that's NCCC in the distance. So maybe kind of approaching this photo from a different angle would be a good idea. This next photo, I think this is a neat way to take a picture of someone in the office. He looks very busy. So he's got his hand on the keyboard, he's talking on the phone, he has the mouse in his right hand, so he looks busy. It looks like he's getting things done. I also think it's nice that he's not centered in the frame. Anyone knows if you know the rule of thirds, you'll know this is a well-composed picture. If you don't know about the rule of thirds, go ahead and Google that. That's a good thing to know when it comes to photography. The one thing that you want to consider is kind of filling the space and being aware of all of the space in your photo. So some of the feedback I've got on this picture is that, well, his office looks messy. So if you're going to take a photo of a member and you feel like the space around them doesn't represent the program or what they're doing well, go ahead and take the time to compose the picture in the way that you want it to be represented. This next picture, something I ask folks is, if you saw this picture picture in an NCCC brochure. Would you be interested in joining? So some people say yes, because it looks like she's got a lot of energy. This picture, I'm not quite sure. Quite sure about it. If she were working and had this expression on her face, maybe I'd feel differently. But yeah, it's tilted, and you can't really quite tell what type of work she's doing on the construction site that she's on. So maybe kind of taking the quality of this picture is good, but maybe framing it in a different way. This next picture, this one, in terms of can we use this for recruitment or not? Probably not. It doesn't have the A in it. It does have a piece of the van in it, which is kind of neat, but again, maybe if this person was working and on site, it would be a stronger picture. One of the things that I really like about this next picture is the angle and depth that the piece of wood creates that this core member is cutting. I love that you can kind of see multiple hands, and it does look like a team effort in cutting this wood. There are some safety concerns in this picture, but in terms of composition, in terms of quality, I think it's a really beautiful photo. This next picture, this probably is not a usable photo in terms of recruitment because, again, you don't see the A. It doesn't say NCCC on the back of their shirts. So, it wouldn't necessarily be used for recruitment purposes, but perhaps more for a Facebook post with a caption or a common ground entry with a caption. This team was serving in Hawaii when this picture was taken. The next picture has one of our core members with a kid. I think this picture is really cute. It's a nice picture that shows our members engaging with a student. If you're taking pictures with kids, I ask you not to post them on Facebook because I like to let the parents decide whether or not they want pictures of their child on the internet. If you take a picture and you think it's really good and it's going to be on the cover of our next recruitment flyer or recruitment booklet, it would be a good idea to get consent from their parents in order to use that photo, and we do have those consent forms on file that I could provide to you if that's something that happens. I always get a lot of oohs and ahs at this picture because the puppy is adorable, but this is not a picture that I would necessarily use for recruitment. This core member looks like he's on a construction site rather than an animal shelter, so it doesn't accurately represent the work that he's doing. If you were at an animal shelter volunteering, then perhaps we would use this picture, but probably not something we would use for recruitment purposes. So why am I telling you, all of these tips about photos and what's a usable photo and what's not? Well, you're going to be submitting to the Community Relations Office 10 of your best photos every round. So 10 of your best photos every round. And you're going to submit those on the NCCC Exchange website. So under discussion forum, you'll scroll down to that and you'll see something that says photo and caption submission and guidelines. When you click on that, you'll see a place to upload your photos. You can only upload a few photos at a time, so in order to get all 10 of them onto the NCCC Exchange, you're going to have to post multiple posts into this forum. Now the actual caption, so along with your photos, you're going to include a caption with that photo. And we actually want you to save the caption to the properties of your photo. So once you've picked out your top 10, you're going to open your first picture, you're going to go to File, and you're going to go to Properties. And then under the Details tab, you're going to look at the subject line and change the subject line to the caption that you want to be associated with that photo. You'll click OK, and then now that photo is linked with the caption. So this is important for us to have the captions associated with the photos, so don't forget that piece. Once you submit your top 10 photos every round, make sure those captions are included. In terms of due dates for the top 10 photos, your photos are due by the media rep transition meeting. So you'll see a trend here, but by the time that we meet at our next transition, your 10 photos should be submitted onto the NCCC exchange. We're looking for, photos that are good, well-composed photos that could be used to recruit new members in the program. Headquarters requests photos that could be used for that purpose a lot. At least once a month I get an email from HQ asking for photos. So the photos you submit are important and we use them often. The next thing we're going to talk about is the last P in the 4 Ps of the media rep position, press releases. Not a lot of media reps coming into this position have experience in writing press releases. This is a more formalized type of writing, a little bit different than something like the Common Ground or the yearbook or Facebook. So there are some guidelines for press releases that you're going to use. This is going to be a great resume builder for you once you complete the year. Being able to share with someone that you wrote press releases on behalf of a federal agency is something great that you can include on a resume. So in terms of the types of press releases you're going to write, I'm going to concentrate on talking about the project press releases. So as a media representative, you're going to write a press release for every project that your team goes out onto. The biggest resource I can tell you about on the NCCC Exchange for press releases is on the right-hand side under Pages, you'll see something called Press Release Templates and Resources. Once you click on there, it's going to open this whole world of press release resources that you will use frequently throughout the year. So we have on there a template for a press release. So you click that, you open it, it's going to talk to you about, or it's going to show you the format. So your press release will always say for immediate release at the top. You're always going to include the date. You'll include your contact information. If you prefer to use your team leader's contact information, you can do that, but just put your name at the top and let your team leader know that you've used their email address or phone number. You will always have the logo on there as well. You'll have a headline that you'll have to come up with, the city and state that you are serving in, and then your lead sentence should be different than the headline, but just as engaging. So again, we have a template on there for you to use. Really be thinking about press releases in terms of the inverted pyramid. So kind of the most important, most general information at the top. So why is your team there? How long are they going to be there? What are they going to be doing? Followed by less important, more specific information. So maybe down here, this is where you would include a quote from someone on your team, not you, but someone on your team, or a project sponsor or a community member. Maybe where you include something about a specific event that you have coming up at your project sponsor site, or maybe a little bit more about your team. But when you're writing your press release, really make it about what your project work is doing for the community. So it's not necessarily focused on what the members are getting out of it, but really what the community is getting out of having an AmeriCorps NCCC team there serving. So concentrate on the community benefit. Also on the NCCC Exchange, you will see kind of the press release tips and practice worksheet, so you can practice writing your press releases. Also, press releases have specific style guidelines. So you'll see a link to the AP style and NCCC writing guidelines. So for example, rather than writing out California, you would write Calif, C-A-L-I-F, period. So little nuances like that you're going to want to pay attention to when you write your press release. In terms of styling for your press release, again, we talked about AP style. It should also be 1 page in length, so it's not very long, just 1 page in length. And it should, each paragraph should be 1 to 3 sentences long. You're going to want to use simple wording. You're going to limit your big words and stick to 6th grade reading level. Your headlines should be 8 to 10 words maximum. They should be written in present tense. So for example, AmeriCorps NCCC rebuilds City Park, so not rebuilt or anything like that. It's present tense, rebuilds. And again, it shouldn't be the same exact content as your lead sentence. So the headline shouldn't be, if the headline is AmeriCorps NCCC rebuilds City Park, the lead sentence shouldn't be AmeriCorps NCCC rebuilds City Park. Make sure you proofread. If you have a co-media rep, get their help on this. If you don't have a co-media rep, ask someone else on your team or your team leader to proofread. Also, in terms of writing, the C in AmeriCorps is always capitalized. AmeriCorps has an S on the end of it, but the P and the S are not pronounced. So when you're saying it, it's AmeriCorps, not AmeriCorps. And also when you're writing, you're going to want to lowercase the titles Corps member and team leader. So once you get out onto your project and once you've drafted your press release, you are going to submit it, surprise, surprise, on the NCCC Exchange. Under discussion forum, you're going to see a link called Final Draft Press Release Submission. So you're going to submit your draft there. You're going to attach it as a Word document. I recommend using that template that we've provided. Save it as a new file and then upload it onto the Exchange in this place. Once you upload it, someone in the Community Relations Office will review it and then will return the press release to you saying that it has been approved. So it has to be approved by the Community Relations Office at NCCC prior to you sending it out to the media. So once you've drafted your press release, it doesn't mean it's final until we give you the final okay. So once you get the final okay, you are more than welcome to send it out to as many media outlets in the area as you would like. So we're going to give you different media lists or different media contacts in the area in which you're serving. And in fact, under the press release templates and resources link, you're going to see a list of different media outlets. So you can use that to do a search to see who's in your nearby project area. But then we will also email you a list of people that you can do outreach to. If you end up getting media coverage, you will fill out a report. So the report is located on the NCCC Exchange. Under Pages, you're going to see the second link there is called Report. It's basically just a Survey Monkey. So you're going to fill out the Survey Monkey report to let us know that you've gotten media coverage. And this is pretty cool because we track this nationally to see how much coverage the different campuses have received, and it informs headquarters and Congress that our program is making a difference. Communities care about publishing articles or having our teams on the news and stuff like that. Once you've sent out your press releases to the media in your area, you're going to want to do follow-up calls to the media to let them know that your press release was sent. You want to ensure that they received it, and you want to inquire about whether or not they're going to cover your story. So maybe they're going to want to come to your work site. Maybe they will want to have you in the studio to do a formal interview, or maybe they just print your press release word for word into their publication. So it's important to do those follow-up calls. On the NCCC Exchange, Press Releases, Templates, and Resources link, you will see a script for making those follow-up calls, and then you will also see a follow-up calls log. And basically, you can use this log. It's not required, but you can use this log to help track the outreach you've done to media in your area, and to kind of track what you promised them. Did you set an appointment, or do you have to resend the press release to somebody else at their organization, that type of thing. So that's something we recommend. So try to do your follow-up calls within 1 to 2 hours of sending your press release. This will, help ensure that they received it, and it'll cut down on the timeline for when they receive it and when they publish it, if you kind of bug them early. So the key to the media representative position is really being persistent, and this is a really good example of that. Those media reports should be filled out within 48 hours of receiving your media coverage. You'll know if you received your media coverage because hopefully your contact that you have at the media outlet will share with you when they feel like they're going to be able to publish it. You can also call them back and kind of, again, be persistent in finding out when they're going to publish your story. I also may find out about it because I have a Google alert set up on my computer. So sometimes I get notified when people get media coverage. If your project sponsor publishes something about you all on their organization's Facebook, or if they print something about you in their newsletter, this would also count as media coverage, and you should fill out a report for every individual piece of media coverage that your team receives. If you want samples or examples of press releases that have been approved in the past, please let me know, and I would be happy to send those to you. You will be the point person for interviews, so if the media shows up at your work site, you should be the one that's approaching them, taking down their information, and being the one that's being interviewed. When you're interviewed, you want to make sure to be yourself. You don't want to give your personal opinion, as it will be attributed to AmeriCorps and CCC, no matter how you qualify your answer. So, for example, don't answer political questions, because whatever you say will be attributed to NCCC, but we need to remain nonpartisan. You're going to want to avoid saying no comment, as it conveys a sense of guilt. Feel free to pause to regain your thoughts if you feel uncomfortable. You're going to want to memorize that elevator phrase that we went over in your outreach, visibility, and recruitment training. So that's going to be something key to remember if you're interviewed. It can really help you through the interview process. If you're ever asked any, hot topic questions or questions that you were nervous about answering, feel free to contact me or the community relations office or your unit leader to let them know what you were asked, how you answered. One of the tips I like to give is that you can always redirect your conversation back to your project work. So always, talk about why you're there helping the community, and focus on that if the media is interested in covering your story. I recommend meeting with your team, practicing the elevator phrase with your team, making them practice the elevator phrase, because what if you're on vacation or you're not available on the particular work site that the media is going to? Your team is going to need to be prepared to be interviewed. Again, you will usually be the lead, but it's important for everyone to be prepared for that type of thing. Okay, the last thing we're going to talk about are the 3 R's of paperwork. This shouldn't take too long. So the first R is the rep plan. So this will be completed on the NCCC Exchange. You'll see under Pages, it's the first link listed. This rep plan is due by the media rep transition meeting, and it's a simple Survey Monkey. This will help you to think about kind of what you're planning on doing as a media rep during your upcoming project round, what you plan to do, and it will also help you prepare for that press release that you're going to write. The next R of paperwork is the report. We talked a little bit about this when discussing your press releases, but you should basically complete a report anytime you receive media coverage. You're going to want to complete that within 48 hours of receiving the coverage. So, for example, if you were interviewed by a newspaper on December 1st and the article is published on December 7th, complete the media coverage report within 48 hours of December 7th, so the date in which you received the coverage. The next R of paperwork is the review. The review is something, again, that you're going to want to complete by the media rep transition meeting. It's located on the NCCC Exchange. And this summarizes your accomplishments for the project round. So you had your plan, you implemented it, you went through the round. What did you accomplish? That's basically what the review is. Again, due by the media rep transition meeting. One of the great benefits of this position is that you're really going to walk away at the end of the year with a lot of things that you could use for a portfolio. So newsletter submissions, press releases, your yearbook page, your Facebook posts, different things that you can really compile and use for a portfolio that could be used to get jobs in the future. Another thing I wanted to mention is why you're doing this position. It's exciting. You get to talk to the press. You get to see your team featured in the news. How many of you have been featured in the news in the past and your parents have posted the article on the refrigerator because they were so proud. It's that kind of feeling that you get being a media representative, a sense of pride. You get the opportunity to create a positive image of NCCC. You get to assist with recruitment. And again, it's a leadership opportunity for you. You will be evaluated. We'll have a mid-year evaluation. It's kind of like a self-evaluation, and then your team leader and the community relations office will provide comments on that evaluation. So mid-year, and then also at the end of year, you will go through the same evaluation process. We do have a Media Representative of the Year award that we give out at our awards banquet. So if you're feeling ambitious, you could always strive to try to be Media Representative of the Year. The last thing I want to mention is that you have a timeline with all of the due dates for the Media Representative position. If you don't have the timeline or not sure what I'm talking about, ask your team leader. Your team leader should have a copy of this on their team leader flash drive, or it's something that the community relations office can send to you. It's going to tell you what's due each transition, what you should be working on during the project round. It is a great guide, and whenever if people tell me they're lost, I always refer them to the timeline, and that always helps get them on track. The Community Relations Office is here to help you through this position. We're here to help you make this a great leadership opportunity. So we hope you're excited about being in the media representative position, and hopefully, if you're not at this point, hopefully you'll get more excited as you get into it. Again, let us know if you need any support. Thank you for your service, and we'll talk to you over phone or email. Take care.